Now you know how much I love the holiday season, and nothing says holidays quite like snow, at least where I live. So today I'm going to show you one of my family's favorite crafts to make around the house during the holidays. It's a giant snowflake we're going to make out of 6 pieces of regular standard 8.5 by 11 paper. Let's get started. Okay, first we're going to start with 6 standard pieces of white 8.5 by 11 paper. We're going to take one and take it aside, and then we're going to fold it over so it's even with this line right here. So what we're doing is we're making a perfect square, so it's 8.5 by 8.5 instead of 8.5 by 11. So I'm going to fold down this crease right here, and all we're doing is creating a square. You can also use a paper cutter for this, makes it a little bit cleaner, a little bit easier, and then you're going to follow this line down. So you're going to fold it across just like that, so you have a standard square that you're working with. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cut the paper right on this line so it creates this perfect square right here. So we're just going to cut right along this line right here. Now we can set this aside for notes a little bit later, but all we're going to need is this piece right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold it right over just along that same line and make it as even as possible, right along these 2 little edges right there, as even as possible, and then fold it right down so you get all the way to the edges, just like that. Once we fold it over once, we're going to fold it over one more time, again making those edges as even as possible right there. So you get right over here and then fold it all the way down so you have a perfect triangle. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn this triangle to the right here. So the arrow is pointed to the right and the open part is on top. So you have the edge right here on the bottom, the open part on top. That's really important. What we're going to do is we're going to create 3 equal lines on this piece of paper. We're not going to cut all the way through, just leaving about maybe half an inch right at the end there. You can leave a little bit more, a little bit less. It changes up a few things, but you want to cut all the way along those lines, making them as straight as possible and as even as possible. Again, you have to leave about half an inch right at the end of the paper. So you see I'm not cutting all the way through, just leaving a little bit just at the end right there. See that? There we go. Then what we're going to do is we're going to open up the piece of paper and spread it out so that we can work with all the little pieces here. It's really important not to rip the paper, so be extra careful when you're doing this. Okay, once you have the paper like that, you're going to turn it over. It doesn't really matter if you do or you don't. I always just learn to turn it over. And then you're going to create a loop right here in this center, the center piece. You're just going to loop it over on itself. You just want a little bit of it overlapping just like that. Then grab a small piece of tape, very small, and then tape it right down just like that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to flip it all the way over and do the same thing to this next piece. And again, not covering it completely here. You see I have a little bit of space right here, but making these lines. So you don't want it to be angled at an angle like that. You want it to be perfectly straight right across just like that, so this is even. And then we're going to put a little piece of tape right there. And it's taped down. And then we're going to flip it over again and do the exact same thing to this piece. You can see the pieces are even here. It's not tilting in one direction or another. This little arrow here is pointed right across to that little arrow right there. It's probably the best way I can use to describe it, has to be straight across. Then we're going to flip it over one more time and do the exact same thing to the last piece. And there we go, just taping it down just like that until you get a piece just like this. This is a piece 1/6 of our snowflake. So we need 6 of these. So we're going to set this one aside and do all the rest. You ready? Here we go. Now if you're wondering how close or how far away it has to go, it doesn't matter too much. You want maybe about 1/4 to 1/2 inch right there of extra space and you'll be all set. It has to look just like that and you're ready to go. One thing you'll notice, after having a little bit of experience, this process will be much faster. The first couple times, it can be a little bit slow, but after you do it a couple times, you are set to go and you're going to be really speedy and be able to make these really fast. What my family and I did one time is we each made 10 snowflakes, brought them to my parents' house, hung them up all over, and we had a really festive Christmas. It was so fantastic. Okay, we have our 6 pieces of snow right here. We're going to set 3 of them aside and just work with 3 at a time. Now we have 3 pieces of snow here. What we have to do is line up the largest side so that they're all on the same side. So you see how the largest edge or the largest piece is on the outside left, again outside left, and then you see how this one is the opposite direction. See that last piece outside right, so we're going to flip it over so they're all facing the same direction. Now all 3 pieces of snow are lined up in the same direction, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the pieces, making sure that they're still facing the same direction, and then I'm going to stick them to each other. Now we're going to put them together by putting these 2 little points right on the same path, so very even, just like that. Grab our last piece and do the exact same thing, again keeping them in the same direction, just like that. Doesn't matter if they're, scrunching up a little bit. It's not the end of the world. We're gonna even them up in just a minute here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a stapler once they're even just like that, and we're gonna put 2 staples right here at the top. So there's 1 and there's 2, and you can see the whole snowflake, this is one side of it, is starting to come together. It looks a little weird, but don't worry, we're gonna set that aside and do the exact same thing with the other 3 pieces. Okay, they all look even to me, so again, I'm gonna take 2 staples and do 1 just like that, and the second one just like that. So again, I've got another half of a snowflake here. It's starting to come together. You can see it's making its way. Okay, you can see what's coming together here. We're gonna put these 2 pieces together just like that, and again, you're looking for this piece that's the furthest out, the largest piece, largest circle right there of one snowflake has to match the largest circle of the other one, and then you are all set to go. Bring them nice and close together, and then we're gonna put 2 staples right here. But again, you wanna push them close together when you do this. So again, they are nice and close together, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put 2 staples right there in the center. There's 1. And there's 2. And look at that, our snowflake is really coming together, but if you try to hang this up, these pieces will start to come apart a little bit. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna sturdy it up by stapling 2 pieces together. So each piece is going to staple together with its neighbor piece. The easiest way to staple them together is to just look for X marks the spot. You're gonna match the 2 X's up together, and then you're just gonna stick your staple right in the center of those 2 X's and put 1 staple right like that. That way they won't come apart and it'll look really good when it's hanging up. Now sometimes it looks like some of the snowflakes don't want to go together. You just gotta kind of push them together just like that and then staple right in the center, and you are all set. You can see the amount of space here, so clearly there's a little bit of resistance, but don't worry about it. You are doing it right. It is not wrong. And start stapling just in the middle to bring these 2 together. And look at that, we have finished our snowflake. It looks fantastic. Take a look at that snowflake right there. I've got to tell you, this is a fun and easy way to bring those festivities alive and bring the magic to your house for the holidays. I love this one. Now to hang it on the ceiling, you can use tape or you can use a paper clip and then hang it on whatever you have on the ceiling already, and you're all set to go. Now you can use construction paper and different colors of paper. I have seen this done in all sorts of ways. It's a lot of fun to customize it to make it your own. I sure hope you had fun crafting with me today. Let me know in the comments below if you give this snowflake a try or if you have a favorite holiday craft of your own. Let me know, I want to hear from you. Thanks so much for crafting with me today on this special holiday snowflake. It was a lot of fun to share it with you. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and have a magical day.